Good Thursday afternoon. This is Loudoun County weather. We do a longer range outlook here. We'll start off in the short range and then look at the long term and see what we can kind of expect over the next week or so, weather-wise, or at least what we're watching. Let me know if you like this. Let's start off with our fail. So here's the front and the leftovers of the storm that came through this morning. This is the 3-kilometer NAM, a pretty high resolution model here that we can look at. You see this is around 2 p.m. is what it's showing. It's because the model's coming out now. It just takes a little longer. You see down south that the rain is changing over to snow, and the snow kind of moves off the map to our south. We're here in Loudoun, if you're wondering where we are. But anyway, you see that really nothing comes close to us. Some flurries and stuff down the south, but pretty much just means we're going to see some clouds at times, and that's pretty much it. But the big news over the next 24 hours is really going to be the cold. So if we go down to the actual temperatures, and we'll go back, so that's about what it is right now. We're in the 30s. Quickly, we're going to drop into the 20s this evening. You see about 11, we're already in the low 20s. It's going to get just frigidly cold here overnight. Lows getting down into the lower teens. I think this is maybe a little bit high. It just depends on how much clouds we get around. But yeah, into the teens for sure. We're going to warm up a little bit tomorrow. Well, I guess I got a little colder, huh? We're going to warm up tomorrow only into the 20s. So you're looking now tomorrow, mid-afternoon, still only in the 20s. Low to mid-20s at the best. And then we'll start going back down and tanking into some very, very cold temperatures. And yes, those purples, we're getting down to close to the single digits here. I do think we may see that around 10 or maybe even a little bit lower tomorrow night. So it's going to be a cold, cold start to this weekend on Saturday morning. So that's what we can look forward to in the very short term. And here we'll take a larger view. We can see the big cold area of high pressure that's coming down. This is the GFS, the other American model. Here's that front, here's that snow. And as we move this going forward, you'll see that little system kind of form along the front and kind of cause some icing and snow down into the Carolinas. And then that pretty much is it. Then you can look that we kind of dry out for a while here. So now we're moving all the way in. This is valid into Monday and Tuesday. Now here's a little system that comes through here and maybe drops us a little bit of something about middle of next week, maybe Tuesday. We'll have to see if that's snow, rain-snow mixed. It's hard to say because we start out cold, but we can see some relaxing. You see these red, these 500 millibar things are all blue over top of us, but you'll see the reds kind of approach us, so that makes us a little warmer. But we're cold enough once we're into that time period. So we may see a little bit of snow. Then reinforcing cold air there next week. And then we're watching for other systems. Here's one down in the Gulf of Mexico that's forming. Look at this. It's showing snow up in North Carolina, or South Carolina and North Carolina. And this is getting far enough out that it's hard to say whether or not this is really true, whether or not this low stays down here. If it goes up to the north, it's really hard to say. And I'll show you why in just one second. But this one blows up, and this looks a lot like all our other exciting storms that look like they're going to come to the East Coast, only later to find out that they didn't do it. This is caused by phasing along the East Coast. We'll see. There are not great indicators in the upper atmosphere that would say that something like this could happen, but you get things timed perfectly and maybe something like that could happen. I won't go into how much snow this shows, but we'll just say a lot. After that, if you look in the long range, you see that we're getting into some of these warmer isobars, these 500 millibar, the red lines. They're kind of starting to show up here, and you're starting to see that the troughs are going out to the west. The question whether or not that is going to start to warm us up. So I think after we get into the early part of February, that's where we are here, we're going to see potentially a change where we get into a milder pattern for a while. It doesn't mean that we can't snow. It just means we got to get a lot more luck than we currently need to get snow along the East Coast. So to summarize here, it looks like there are a few chances of maybe a little bit more wintry precipitation. Cold this weekend, still some more cold into next week. As a matter of fact, staying well below normal. We may have a bigger storm to watch towards the end of next week, but we've thought that in the past and it hasn't come to fruition. And then we see her relaxing. At the point you get relaxing, usually the point where you see relaxing, what I mean is a change from the colder into the warmer. Sometimes that change point is when you get a chance for a good storm to form, because you got a good transition period, and that causes some conflict and some potential storminess. So we'll have to see if that actually happens. So now we're going to go upstairs and we're going to look at what are called anomalies. That means things are warmer or colder than normal. These reds mean that it's usually warmer and nice weather and kind of warmer than normal. And then these blues usually mean troughiness or colder weather that's coming in here. So we'll see that, that we get this trough kind of coming through. Then you get a brief period of warmer. Then you get a reinforcing good shot of cold coming in here, and this is going forward here to the 24th or so, and that's going to lift, and then we get another chance of something, and maybe this is when that big storm blows off the East Coast, possibly. So there it is. You see it forming, that big wound up low, so we'll see. But then at the end here, we see, we're starting to get a little different because we see these warmer isobars, so this could be a warming period. Again, the question is whether or not this is a sticking pattern, and we've totally reversed. Now there's a trough out here on the West Coast because it's the United States, and here we're really warming up. It's definitely going to be a warmer period. What I do like to see, or what I am seeing here that says maybe this is transient, possibly, is that this is really crazy, anomalously warm. And when it pokes its head up here, this is clockwise winds, it's going to force cold air back down into the east. This has to kind of move to the east first, like in this direction, so that this ridging goes up in this direction to then push cold air down this direction. We'll have to see if that actually can take place. If it can, then maybe things will go back to cooler. This would have to then be kicked east, and then maybe we actually set up ourselves for favorable. But I think at least for a period, maybe a week, maybe two, in the early part of February, usually our prime storm time, maybe we're going to be dealing with a warmer than normal period. Now, it doesn't mean that cold air cannot be suddenly entrenched into a system and causes snow. Even in the midst of a warm pattern during winter, you do have that option or the capability. But it just means that this looks like a different time and a pattern change. All right, so that was a look in the long term. Let me know if you like this video. I thought I would try one, and that is Loudoun weather for January 20th, 2022. Thanks.